Just 1 week ago, Capitol Hill was overrun by Trump supporters. And today it looks very different. National Guardsmen are lined the Capitol halls of the more than 20,000 troops are being deployed across Washington, D.C. as the city prepares for the inauguration of Joe Biden. So here to tell us more about the security and preparations ahead of today's hearing is Bloomberg News congressional reporter Daniel Flatley. Daniel, thank you for being here. You're in the rotunda right now. Do you see the heightened security, and are you starting to hear messages of what may be different next week?
Yes, absolutely. As you mentioned, there is a substantial National Guard presence here today. We saw them sort of building up to this over the last few days. Certainly very different from the way things were last week, just a week ago, when we had an attack on the Capitol here. And the security presence at that time, a week ago, was pretty standard for what you would find any given day on Capitol Hill. People were generally able to go in and out of the Capitol as they would at any other time during normal business, until, of course, the attack, and then we saw what happened there. So since then, we've seen a heightened security presence, obviously images of soldiers from the National Guard stationed in the hallways of the Capitol and primarily outside along the perimeter where some fencing and other security measures have been installed.
Right. There was one representative who said that there were more troops in Washington than there are in Afghanistan right now. But I want to get, of course, to the inauguration, or pardon me, the impeachment from today. President Trump is the first president to be impeached twice by the House. And we're hearing by our reporter, Emma Kearney, that Speaker Nancy Pelosi is going to formally sign the article of impeachment at 5:45. Did the speed with which this happened surprise you?
It does surprise me a little bit, although when you take into account sort of the extraordinary nature of what happened last week, you understand a little bit better why the House moved as quickly as it did. One thing that I would note is that when the House impeached President Trump in December of 2019, they had no Republicans in that chamber that joined with them, the Democrats. Had no Republicans that joined with them. This time around, it was very different. We had 10 Republicans that voted to impeach President Trump. So that's a marked difference from what happened a little over a year ago. And I think that there was a recognition on the part of all members, including some of the Republicans who didn't end up voting for impeachment, that what happened last week was really beyond the pale and required some sort of a forceful response. There were some suggestions about censure or some other measures that some Republicans, including House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy, had sort of advanced, which at the end of the day ended up going nowhere. Essentially, impeachment was the primary option, and we saw that happen today very quickly and in a bipartisan manner, which is a big change from what happened just a little over a year ago.
Now, a question that I've been posing to a few people on the show today have been, what's been the response from Republicans, a coordinated response? Is there any chatter about some sort of a coordinated response coming from the GOP?
Well, I think what you're seeing is a party that is really searching its soul at this point, searching for its identity. You saw yesterday the number 3 Republican in the House, Liz Cheney, say that she would vote for impeachment. Mm-hmm. And today, members calling on her to resign, to leave her post as conference chair, and other Republicans coming to her defense. In the Senate, of course, the question is, what is Mitch McConnell going to do? And he certainly has not ruled out voting to convict President Trump on this impeachment charge. He released a statement shortly before the vote happened in the House this afternoon, saying that he would evaluate the evidence and consider everything, but notably he did not say, for instance, I will not vote to convict or anything along those lines. So that's kind of a signal that there may be some soul searching and an idea that perhaps the party needs to move beyond Trump. Whether they'll be able to actually do that is yet to be seen.
Some people might say that that romance could be over between the president and the Republican Party, as many of them look to distance themselves. But we know that President Trump is also expected to release a video response to the impeachment. That's according to some reports. We don't know exactly when it's coming. But have you heard anything from the president or vice president, Mike Pence? Their relationship seems to be falling out as well.
Well, we know that they're not getting along as well as perhaps they have in the past. Last week, when Vice President Pence presided over the joint session of Congress to certify the Electoral College vote, he was under tremendous pressure from the president to essentially overturn the election. We saw tweets coming from President Trump leading up to that event, and in part, that's really why we saw the attack on the Capitol that we did. Pence did not give in to the president's demands, and I think that caused a lot of strain, as you might imagine. And Mike Pence told Senator Jim Inhofe of Oklahoma that he was very angry about what had transpired between him and the president. Last night, the vice president said that he would not invoke the 25th Amendment, which would essentially remove the president from power with the cooperation of the cabinet. Pence said he wouldn't do that, so he's not prepared to go that far. But certainly Trump is known for being defiant, and we have no reason to believe that he will deviate from that.
All right, Daniel, thank you very much for explaining all of that to us.
The biggest stories the moment they happen from around the globe. Subscribe to Bloomberg Quick Take now for insight in an instant.